The FBI executed a search warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia Elections Office yesterday. A spokeswoman for the county confirming to MS Now agents at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center were focused on the 2020 race where Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump and flipped the state. Agents searched for evidence of alleged voter fraud and potential violations of a federal statute that requires officials to maintain presidential election records for 22 months. That's according to a copy of the warrant obtained and verified by MS Now. Fulton County has been the epicenter, as you know, of President Trump's long-running conspiracy theory that the 2020 election was stolen from him. An inaccurate claim he repeated again just last week in Davos.
It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was spotted visiting the elections office during the search, raising lots of eyebrows. There she is in the hat. Intelligence Committee Vice Chair Senator Mark Warner of Virginia slamming Gabbard for attending the raid, writing in part, she is once again demonstrating her utter lack of fitness for the office that she holds by injecting the nonpartisan intelligence community she's supposed to be leading into a domestic political stunt designed to legitimize conspiracy theories that undermine our democracy. This all comes just 1 month after the Department of Justice sued the county and as President Trump pushes for more than $6 million in attorney's fees from the now dismissed Georgia criminal election case. Let's bring in MS Now senior national security reporter David Rowe. David, good morning. Extraordinary, obviously, that the director of national intelligence would have anything to do with this domestic raid, execution of a search warrant by the FBI in Fulton County that fits into this larger picture of an election now more than 5 years in the past that Donald Trump is fixated on. What more do we know about how this came to be and what went down yesterday?
We know very little, and that's part of what's so alarming. It's just a raid that happens very quickly. And Tulsi Gabbard's presence there as the director of national intelligence, this is the equivalent of the CIA director showing up in a county election warehouse and taking possession of all the ballots that were cast there. And, you know, if a Democratic CIA director did this, there would be immediate concerns about, some kind of conspiracy theory. And I just want to repeat, dozens of judges, federal judges, who are Trump appointees, the Supreme Court all agreed that Joe Biden won the 2020 election. President Trump is wrong. You know, he continues to claim this. He can't accept it, I guess, personally. And so it's just extraordinary that we're back at this point. And the target of their ire is the Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who received a phone call from Trump asking him to find votes. So these are Republicans that are, saying these are, this is the results of the election. And you have the federal government coming in. There's a state law that bans Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, from turning over these voter records, the privacy information of Americans that should not go. That's states' rights, a big Republican credo. All of this is just alarming and, a really dangerous precedent as we approach the midterms.
John, you wrote an entire book about this, The Big Lie. In Georgia, the vote was counted 3 times by Republicans in the state, Republican Secretary of State, Republican governor. They all said, we counted again for you, President Trump, and we counted a 3rd time by hand. You lost the state of Georgia, and judges, as David points out, have upheld that notion as well. And yet here we are in the year 2026 with federal agents going into Fulton County, Georgia, to look for more information on this conspiracy theory.
We all remember the phone call that President Trump made to Georgia's Secretary of State saying, find me the votes, listed the 11,000 or so that he needed to actually flip Georgia. This can't be said enough. This is extremely dangerous. This is certainly still relitigating 2020, an election Donald Trump lost. But he has spent all morning, he was up very early, on Truth Social, reposting wild, baseless conspiracy theories about the election. And just a few minutes ago, chimed in his own words, Trump won big, crooked election. So he has still not let go of what happened in 2020. He seemed to foreshadow at Davos that there would be criminal prosecutions coming related to 2020. And David Rowe, my question to you is, sure, this is about 2020, but for many, the alarm bells are going off because this is actually about 2026 and 2028. Twin this with Pam Bondi's letter to Minnesota earlier this week saying, we want your voter rolls. Now there's access here. There's growing concern among Democrats, among voting rights voting rights advocates, and those, frankly, who just care about our democracy, that this administration is going to try to put their thumb on the scale for these upcoming elections.
And what they'll do is sort of question the results. In many states, there'll be legal battles, and they'll look for a friendly judge that will throw it out, a Trump appointee. And most Trump appointees have actually, have ruled in the right way in these election cases, the factual way. And the concern is that, they'll find one who will do that. We saw that with Aileen Cannon, who threw out the classified documents case. But the CIA, again, through the Cold War, had a terrible history in the FBI of surveilling Americans, of surveilling Martin Luther King, groups on the right and the left, and this whole raft of reforms. This is what Senator Warren was talking about, to make sure these powerful law enforcement and intelligence agencies are run in a non-political way. And you have Tulsi Gabbard, who fell out of Trump's good graces, seeming to do everything she can to investigate and, I fear, prove the president's, quote unquote, prove the president's conspiracy theory that he just can't accept he lost. And so it's just so deeply alarming and so damaging, because people aren't going to trust the FBI or the CIA. And we need facts, just to run the country.
So, David, just to Jonathan Lemir's point, I've heard from a lot of elected leaders that the midterms could potentially be a big problem, that the president is obsessed with the midterms, that the midterm elections could be their focus here, are their focus, to somehow do something like some of the things you just mentioned. Just talk a little bit, if you could, about the president speaking in Davos about "you're soon going to find out," making a connection again, as he has before, with operations within the DOJ and the FBI. That's not how things are supposed to go, is it?
No, not at all. And this was the danger. John Mitchell under President Nixon investigated anti-war groups and investigated various groups and people that were seen as enemies of the president. And we're beyond saying the Justice Department and FBI have been weaponized. They're now being weaponized to potentially change the outcome of the midterm elections. That's potentially, it hasn't happened yet, but that's how concerning and serious this is. And it's all these safeguards that were put in place after Watergate are just being eviscerated. And look, because one man, President Donald Trump, cannot accept that he lost the 2020 election. That's just the reality, I think, that we face here.